What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of You know what it is. Let's take a walk. I hope everybody had a blessed week. I absolutely had a blessed week, and I am thankful and grateful that I'm here with you guys tonight. I was looking forward to tonight. As usual, we bring you some of the most interesting uh, and busy guests that we can. Tonight is no different. We have Miss Trice Whitley. I hope I said that correctly.
You did.
Um, you name it, she does it. She's a producer, a director, a speaker, an artist, a songwriter. I mean, you just name it, and she does it. And if she doesn't do it, she can do it, but she just choose not to do it probably. But needless to say, she wears many hats, and so I was anxious and excited to kind of sit down with her and kind of pick her brain and see some of the things that she has going on. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Treese, I am going to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and give a little background to some of the things that she has going on. All right. So with that being said, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
see you threw that little busy in there, but yes, I have been very busy,
Absolutely.
wear many hats. But just to reintroduce myself to the people, I am now known as Treese Whitley. Been known in the industry as Sister Peaches for a very, very, very long time. And I had gotten married, got a new last name, and then I was like, Trice Whitley, that sounds great to me. So I stuck with it. So that is
Okay.
my brand now. So that's one fact that people
Okay.
should know about me now. But people still call me Peaches because I've always had that since I was
I
a
know
little
that's
girl
right.
as a
Okay.
nickname. So you can call me Peaches instead of Trees. So that's cool.
Okay.
But I have a long journey. I've gone through a lot and have done a lot of things within my travel. I'm originally from the Washington D.C. area. Um, the Lord led me to the West Coast years ago, where I began my evangelism journey. Thought I was going there to, promote my first full CD project.
Mhm.
That's what I thought I was doing. And
Right.
he had something definitely in store for me that I had no idea about.
Okay.
So I did my first project back in 2004
Okay.
and didn't get off the ground like it needed to. I was very green and naive when I first came into the gospel industry. However, over the years, after I left the West Coast and came back to the East Coast, I'm going to make this journey short. Um, I started on Blog Talk Radio. I just wanted a platform to talk. And so I started there, and then other hosts from other shows started coming to my show. Then they asked me was I on radio, and I was the director of media at a mega church in Charlotte. And they offered me streaming, and they was like, Sister Peaches, you want a radio station? I was like, yeah. So I began my internet radio station in 2010,
Okay.
and with me and my business partner at the time. Let me give a shout out to Michael Jackson, who was my
Mike
business.
Jack. Shout out to you.
Give a shout out to him because he was so innovative. He was the creative side when it came to building the radio station,
Mhm.
and we had three interactive websites. So we had I Am Radio, and we had Gospel Box, and we had Review Lounge that were all interactive.
Okay.
So I showed this as a beta testing. Hear me on that beta testing phase
Right.
to my mentor and great friend Tracy Morgan,
Wow. Okay.
who a lot of people do know in the music industry. She's a phenomenal on-air personality for years. And she's like, you need to put this up for a nomination for the Stellar Awards. I was like, we're not ready. So I don't know who did, but somebody did.
Hmm.
And after that, we were nominee every year. And then we were nominated three times. We were one of the four finalists three times in a row. And in conjunction to that, I had an ongoing event in conjunction to the Stellar Awards, I Am Radio Empowerment Breakfast that I had for 7 years.
Mhm.
and it was extremely successful. It started out probably 125 people coming to the breakfast, to 500 people attending the breakfast within that expansion of time. But what I wanted and where my heart is, and it still is, even though I'm an artist myself, like you said, you're an artist,
Mhm.
but my heart is for independent artists, and for
Absolutely.
really for them to get the platform that they deserve when they go to these different events, and not just promoters pimping them
Wow.
and them singing to themselves as an audience full of other artists because they wanted all this money and that type thing. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
the Lord gave me a vision that the people that would be in the audience would be my industry mates.
Hmm.
Since I had the radio station, and he really had blessed me for it to grow, to have not just radio, but filmmakers, playwrights, print media of all sorts were in the house for them. And it was up to them to network and do what they had to do after they got off that stage or before they went on that stage to make those connections that was available for them. And my
Awesome.
industry mates got a free dynamite buffet meal every year.
That's always a plus.
Yeah,
Always.
they didn't want me to stop it. They didn't want me to stop.
So you explained a little briefly about your journey, about all the things that you've done.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna go a little deep with you right now.
All right.
Okay, so you've explained, like I said, a little bit of your journey and what you've done. But at
Hmm.
this point, well, before I even get to that, where did the name Peach? Where did Peaches come from? Why Peaches?
My
Does that
parents,
have some type of significance?
my
What's
parents
that?
gave it to me. Is a nickname that they gave.
Okay.
Hmm.
That they and that them, they super powerful. They everywhere. They everywhere. And they know everything. They and them,
Right.
they know everything. But
They couldn't tell me to this day. They just said we couldn't agree on a nickname when we called you. Okay, that's what you called me. They couldn't never tell me because I surely have asked why Peaches.
yeah.
So yes, I've had it all my life.
Okay. So I'm gonna go a little deep on you. So like I said, you've kind of gave us a brief, overview of the things that you've done.
Hmm.
But at this point in your career, at this point in your journey, who are you?
Who am I? I am now, I believe, in a transition of coming to the fullness of who I am. Finally, when I was led to the West Coast and became an evangelist, it was actually in Las Vegas, of all places,
Mhm.
to become an evangelist. And so I was given a vision to start a nonprofit organization. So that's over 20 years ago
Wow.
that this happened. And I began the work of it and doing the 1023 form and things of that nature to get it set. And then I left.
Hmm.
So now God has given me the opportunity to launch Peachtree Foundation,
Okay.
which deals with community development. My ministry is definitely outside of the four walls,
Absolutely.
you know. And when we think about community development, you usually think about, okay, so we're going to get low income houses in some areas, gentrification is going on, so we need to have these stores in this area. And I'm thinking about rebuilding people's lives.
Right. Right.
And my heart is for women between the ages of 17 and 25,
Hmm.
and having a facility that they can go to and rebuild themselves in the areas. So in a rural area or in an urban area where we can build the facilities and things that we need for them to grow and build the area in its entirety. So yeah, I'm thinking about many Black Wall Streets, and all of that is what we got in the plan. So we're excited. We're excited.
Right.
It's a huge vision. Maybe that's why I had to take 20 years. And I
Right.
wasn't ready back when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? I may have
Hmm.
had to learn. In fact, I did. I learned a lot about property management, residential. I'm a real estate agent. I've been a property manager. I've been over, commercial properties. So I believe all of that was for my making for now, you
I,
know.
yeah, I think that I was speaking to someone not too long ago about, well, I was asked actually. Somebody asked me purpose purpose and destiny. Like the things that in other words, basically the things that you do well
Hmm.
leads you into the things that you're ultimately meant to do. So
Yeah.
like if you go in as a singer because you have the gift to sing, be a musician or what have you. But in the midst of that journey, you find out that you enjoy marketing, you enjoy the promotion, you enjoy styling, you know what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
whole dressing and all of that. And so it's kind of goes hand in hand. Your purpose, your purpose and your passion kind of go hand in hand. And that's kind of when I listen to you, that's kind of what I hear. I feel like, your passion kind of intertwined with your ultimate purpose and your destiny.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel like are you do you at this point do you feel like you're able to wear all the hats that you wear, or is it a challenge, or I mean, what does it feel like to be able, you're running companies and and while you're building companies, you're establishing others, and evangelism, and music, and radio, and press. So what's that like for you? Can it be overwhelming at times, or do you feel like you're built for it?
Whew, at times I don't feel like I'm built for it, but he must know that I am. Because
Right.
again, like you said, the purpose and the passion for something is what keeps me going to pursue what I'm doing. And I've learned to truly be more strategic in
Mm-hmm.
how I operate. When you're multi-talented and gifted, and I'll be telling my daughters this because they are, and they have a struggle on, I don't know what to do because I do, I'm an author, I design this, and they doing all these different things. Okay, how can we make it that you can be impactful and still be able to do all of those things? And that's what he has shown me with Peachtree Foundation. I should have laid that foundation first, but then this is growth. I should have learned. You there?
Yeah,
Look,
I'm here.
look like
I'm
you
here. I'm
frozen.
here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. And I should have laid that foundation first, but then God was growing me,
Hmm.
like maturing me, growing me spiritually, personally, healing me, doing a lot of reconstruction within me, molding me to be stronger so I can handle the things that I didn't even know was going to be required of me later on in life.
Hmm.
So, and I wouldn't have the team that's around me now. I think that I am blessed with a very strong board, an advisory board that can help me not be all over the place.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I'm learning to allow, I'm so used to doing things by myself, Mike.
Right.
And
Right.
then when there's an event and things of that nature or something happened, then I bring other people in. But I'm learning to let go and truly allow and trust people with the vision. Like I'm always telling, other people, you have to trust people in order for your vision to grow. You can't do it all by yourself.
Absolutely.
So I'm really learning to do that, but it's scary. I'm not gonna lie. It's scary when you've been doing something for by yourself for so long. At times you feel very alone, even though people are around you. And then you don't want to hound people and micromanage
Right.
and
Right.
all those good things
Right.
because I don't
Right.
like it. So it's difficult, but I am grateful to God with Peachtree Foundation, as well as I have the Performing Arts Collaborative Group here in Washington, D.C. area that deals with creatives. And that
Hmm.
was launched and birthed out of the need for creatives just to have a place to grow and blossom and network.
Hmm.
And then I'm also the president of the Gospel Industry Network
Wow.
DC affiliate.
Okay.
I'm the president of that, but they coincide. So that's what he's showing me is that everything
It's working together. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not all over the place.
Right.
The event, and I shared this with you earlier, we're having an event November 5th, and the event is being presented by Performing Arts Collaborative Group and the DC Gen affiliate. And I'm also launching at the same time. We're going to celebrate Peachtree Foundation. It'll be
Okay.
our first in-person meeting. And I'm like, huh, why would I have 3 or 4 different events? That's crazy. When all of it works together, because this
Right.
is about community,
Right.
especially the Washington, D.C. area, the DMV coming together, the leadership. So we're recognizing community leaders here who have done awesome work within the Washington, D.C. area. And we're also having some wonderful, dynamic, anointed DC Gen artists, including myself. No, including myself, who
Humble
will be
brag, humble brag. I got you.
okay, who will be singing that. And see, that's a big thing because I never pushed myself, never promoted myself in the past. But I'm excited because I know God's hand is just all in it. And it's a great place to know, but it's also scary because you
Absolutely.
truly have to lean, depend, and trust Him
Right.
in all of it from start to finish. It is
Okay.
definitely a process.
Okay.
Definitely.
So let's talk about gospel music as a whole for a minute.
Uh-oh.
This is a question that I've had a few artists on the platform,
Hmm.
and I've asked them about this. So I'm going to ask this to you. Um, Today's gospel music is clearly not like our grandparents and our great grandparents gospel music. And with that evolution comes not just the change in the music, but also the way that it's presented. And I'm not talking about just streaming. I'm talking about the physical presentation.
Hmm.
The artists don't look like what they used to. You know what I'm saying? And that's that can be a positive thing, and or maybe not. Depend. I guess it depends on who's looking at it. And so, with that being said, I'm asking you, like, the secular industry and the Christian community, as far as promoting artists and breaking artists and putting them out to the public. Um, do you feel like gospel music? How do you feel about branding? How do you feel about presentation? Today's gospel music presentation. How are the artists, looking? Do they look like Christian artists, or do you think that maybe we've gone a little bit too far left as far as because I've spoken to some artists and they'll say they feel like you should be as modest as possible. I'm talking like wrinkled shirts, holy pants, whatever that humble looks like to you, like little or no jewelry, little or no makeup, whatever, right? But then on the flip side, you have people who will say, "Hey, look, I God has blessed me,
Hmm.
and so and in my purpose is to one of my purposes is to draw people to Him. And if I look a certain kind of way, they're not going to believe that God is blessing me. So therefore, I'm going to wear Gucci, or I'm going to wear Prada, or I'm going to wear Balenciaga, or whatever. You know what I'm saying, to look the part."
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, how would you characterize or how would you describe how gospel music is being presented in the modern day, particularly like this year's Stellar Awards? There was a lot of scuttlebutt about the overall theme. of it. It was thought that it was too young, too hip hoppy, too, forward, and it didn't really pay homage to the the classic artists. They didn't give the platform to the Sir Shirley Caesars or the Donnie McClurkins or the Fred Hammonds or Marvin Sapp's. You know what I'm saying? They kind of gave way to the Lecrae's and the different ones, Corinne Hawthorns and, the younger generation. And so, again, I know I'm talking you to death, but
No, listen.
um, from where you sit, how do you see gospel music as it pertains to how it's being presented nowadays? Do you think it's going in a positive direction, or what do you see?
I think it's what you first started out with, evolution. I mean, we can go back to slavery time and come on up, and how things have changed and evolved over a period of time when it comes to gospel music. Whether it was Negro spirituals to gospel hymns to choir music, so on and so forth. And with every stage, the look changed, the
Mhm.
sound changed. And I don't think I'm so concerned about the look more so than the presentation.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of concerned that stuff is getting too showy more so than anything.
Okay.
And message getting lost because of the show being
Gotcha.
being put on more so than what they may have on. You know what I'm saying? Whether,
Mhm.
and I don't know if humble means I got to be wrinkled, but I'm just, but because even when it comes to branding, I'm in that stage right now because I'm getting ready to do a new project, but
Mhm.
I'm stepping out. So I don't know if people gonna talk about me, but I don't care.
Yeah. I
I'm getting
mean,
ready to do a jazz project.
yeah. Oh
So
wow. Okay.
so but I didn't do it for years because of the church.
Mm.
Because of what I thought the church would think of me, because I am a worshiper.
Right. Right.
But I have relationship, period. So some things should convict you in your relationship with God that you don't go too far.
Right.
And I think that's my only concern is the presentation of delivering the gospel, delivering the message, the good
Okay.
news.
And so, what do you say to that young lady? Because it mainly pertains to the women, not so much the men. I mean, I'm sure it's prevalent with the men too, but with the women, what do you say to that one that's naturally curvy? You know what I'm saying? They just can't help how they're built or whatever, and like you said, the message kind of gets lost because you're
Yes,
looking,
distraction. Yeah.
it can
Hmm.
be tough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
What do you
I actually went to a quartet,
mhm,
and you have female quartet groups.
mhm,
And some of the dresses that they had was so tight, it was ridiculous. And
mhm,
I'm like, come on, y'all now. Come on. That
mhm.
now embrace your curves, that's fine. But it's still a thing of being decent and in order.
Okay.
It's still a thing of, and I believe in being modest. I
Mhm,
believe in being modest. But I I still think the mothers, because they keep saying the mothers have died in the church. There's no more mothers. There's no more accountability
mhm, mhm.
in the church house
Okay.
anymore. There's no one saying, baby, that dress is too tight. Now, you can't go in the house of the Lord like that. You can go, but you can't stay. And that's another thing is people embracing that staying part. I
Did you say
came
you
in here
can't
with
go?
short
You can go, but
skirts.
you can't stay. Wow. Okay.
You could come that way to the Lord, but you don't need to stay that way.
Right. Right.
There's something, take the hem line down a little, at least to your knees. They don't need to be up here, you
Right.
know, those type
Right.
things. So that's where I stand on it. But I don't know. I'm like, I'm coming to hear some great gospel music and not see things shaking all over the place and nah, that's not what I'm here for. And then you shouting and
Mhm.
all that other stuff goes on. Or the younger people that wear the tight stuff and they got all these dance steps and whatever they're doing. So,
Mhm.
there has to be a place of just respecting the gospel. And that's how I look at it. Period. It's come on.
So what I hear you saying is that evolution is comes with the territory, but there still should always be
A
a
reference.
remembrance and an honor
That's
of
right.
the traditional values. I got you.
That's right. There should always be a reverence because that's the word. It's
Mhm.
not just the things of tradition of what man says, but there should be a change
Mhm.
in your
Mhm.
in your lifestyle and how
Mhm.
you present yourself. No different if I start out cussing like a sailor. Come on, can I come down to a couple of cuss words instead of, the 50 I had in my vocabulary? When is some change going to come in your life? Yeah, there
Right.
may have been a Peter in the mess, but then Peter also wasn't doing the things that he was doing before Christ either. Hmm?
Right. Right. Okay.
So, you know, that's that's where people really need to check themselves. They really need to check themselves. And this is just a different time period, with a lot of stuff, just with sexuality and all of that.
Mhm.
So it's just a very crucial time in life to say, whose side are you standing on for real?
Right.
Choose
Right.
ye this day who you really going to serve, and take the word for what it is for real, and apply it. It's been a struggle for me over the years, especially
Mhm.
being a single woman. Lord Jesus.
Right.
It's been a struggle, but
Mhm.
I made a decision that I can't keep playing.
Mhm.
I can't keep being on the fence, straddling the fence. What you gonna do?
Right.
Are you more worthy than that? Do you know your worth?
Right.
Peaches, do you know your worth? Do you know your value? Do you know who you are?
Right.
And
Right.
that's a missing thing in a lot of people's life.
Right.
They still don't know who they are.
Wow.
And they're serving God.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. I mean, I think that we're all, trying to figure it out. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? But
definitely.
it's such a touchy thing because there's so many things involved with it. You
Yeah.
got so many hands in the pot. Everybody has a different viewpoint, of what proper is or
Right.
what good is, you know what I'm saying? What truth is, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why I kind of go into the whole um, marketing and imaging and how, is that still important? You know what I mean? And even in the Christian industry, because I know that I always make the joke that like even in secular industry, there was a time where you had to have a six pack. You know what I'm saying? You had to have some baby hair on the side.
Hmm.
You had to look a certain way to be accepted. And I
Yeah.
was thinking, is that the same? Does the same apply in the Christian, on the Christian site, especially now the way music is, everything is kind of going that Maverick City, type of direction. And so, you know, what is that, some people might deem that not, you know, proper or not spiritual, but it's always interesting to hear people's viewpoints on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's just a thing of just not getting lost in it. You
absolutely.
still have to keep the message. That's my thing. And if you're keeping the message, if I can hear the message over your performance, if I can hear the message over what you have on, that's what matters to me.
Absolutely.
That's what matters to me. So,
Absolutely. Okay. Let's move a little forward. Okay, so we talked about the imaging. Let's talk about the medium of radio.
mhm.
Um, how do you feel? What's the state of radio at this point? You know, because you have these different streaming services. You have these, like you said, blog talk radio. You can go to your computer and build a playlist or what have you.
Right.
What being a radio person with extensive radio experience,
Hmm.
what's from in your opinion, what's the state of radio at this point? Does it still
Well,
have a place?
it definitely has a place.
Mhm,
Um, I guess the concern is more so the state of terrestrial radio than
mhm,
streaming and digital, um, because of what's going on with, like, BDS and media base and all of that stuff. Because a lot of them are going to end up shutting down. Unfortunately,
mhm,
that's going to be the sad part of that. Um, the great thing about it is that they have already started something or have something in place when it comes to streaming. There's their radio station already, and if they're going to go into another direction and be digital or something else, a
mhm.
lot of people don't even think like that when they have a terrestrial station if they don't have it in place already.
Right.
So it's been difficult just being having an internet radio station that I've had. It's been
Mhm.
very difficult. It's been up and down with my listenership
Okay.
because there are so many out there.
Mhm,
Um, Marketing is not easy all the time. Marketing your station is not easy all the time. And because I deal with a lot of independent artists for my particular radio station,
mhm,
it's harder because I'm devoted to that.
mhm.
And then I don't want to pimp any artist either,
Got you.
because you have a lot of internet radio station and things that pimp artists. So, everybody does a payola in some form or fashion, whether it's through advertising and things of that nature for, the artist to get more exposure, paid interview, put your ad on my, your CD cover on my site for this much amount, that type
Mhm.
stuff.
Right.
I'm not into any of that. So, um, radio is interesting to me. It's I just came back from a conference in Seattle,
Mhm,
International Gospel Music Summit. Shout out to Carol Crawford for doing an awesome job. And she brought the UK here. It's usually in London
mhm,
that they host the event. It was the first time coming to the United States. So we got to hear the dynamics of what's going on in the UK as well. And it's amazing of how similar that it is, but yet how our music is not appreciated in our own country.
mm,
And I
mm.
think that that's devastating. That I can go over to the UK and be loved up on like crazy and come
Yeah.
back in, they be like, Trees who?
Right.
you know?
Right.
And
Right.
that's why you always see a handful of people that's always in rotation. That's always,
Right.
you know what I'm saying.
Do
So
you think the artists do enough uh promotion for themselves? And what I mean by that is that, I realized a while back that, we run around as artists to certain places that we think that we're supposed to go.
yeah.
We'll go to New York, or we'll go to California, or we'll
Mhm.
go to Chicago, or we'll go to Miami. We'll go to places that we see other artists go, successful
Mhm.
artists, seemingly successful artists go, and
Mhm.
we try to follow in the paths of of that we think that we're supposed to go in, and we're praying and we're hoping that the powers that be give us the opportunity, give us the opportunities, not realizing that we're all going to the same place trying to get these one or two opportunities when we actually have the ability to create our own opportunities.
I
We
think
can
that's
create our own tours, create our own,
right.
labels, create our own, platforms. Do you think that artists generally do enough in this day and time to create their own opportunities?
There are a lot of independent artists who are making waves in the industry. A lot.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to stick with saying independent artists, indie artists. Some of them have people working for them or with them. Others
Hmm.
are trying to do it on their own. I think mine is more concerned of those that are striving to do it on their own. And they go to those places, like you say, because that's what they see. So
Right.
that's what they know. But every artist should have a marketing plan.
Hmm.
Excuse me. They should have a marketing plan. And their first market is where they live, local, then it's regional, then it's national. When you go to events, and I'm giving some tips, when you go to events, you need to go to events that is definitely going to be able to showcase you in front of the people. Just like
Hmm.
I said with the event that I had created with, in conjunction with the Stella Awards. And so you're going to need advice from certain people that's going to guide you, because you'll be going to places that really doesn't do anything for you.
Okay.
But then on the other hand, if you go there, you got to network.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't network as artists. They don't speak on their own behalf. Again, I'm talking strictly to independent artists.
Hmm.
They don't go out there and, give out their, it's all this high tech stuff now. QR thing on and little thing, you just keep and all that. I don't do all that. I don't know. I'm old. I'm old.
Right. Right.
Someone
Right.
trying to
Right.
get me, hip to
Right.
stuff. I'm old. I'm gonna get there in a minute. I just
Right.
got my link tree thing. So so I'm trying to get up, but a lot don't even have that,
Right.
to push and themselves on the different social media sites and all of those things, or even on those platforms, really staying consistent
Hmm.
on all the social media sites, giving themselves exposure and being personable and, showing their face and doing different things that are independent artists. All of that makes a difference, because people, for me, and I can tell you, when it came to my radio station, when I first had it, Mike, I was blowing up Facebook. And I know to this day that's why people knew me and my
Hmm.
station. Because they was like, we saw I Am Radio everywhere. Everywhere. So that was a blessing for me. And I believe that that's how God favored me, even to put me in that position that other people were nominating me for an award. And then
Hmm.
I was having something that was for the artist as well,
Hmm.
and wanting nothing in return.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I wasn't making a profit off my event. Wish I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't making, because that wasn't my heart or the
Right.
drive behind what I was doing at the time. It was for them to get the exposure they needed, and was hoping that most of them would take advantage of the opportunity. Not just that, went through the process with them. And these are new artists that were having their first single out, period.
Hmm.
Hadn't done any traveling and things of that nature. That's what I
Hmm.
was looking, because I wanted to make sure I could help them and to
Right.
help grow them if they were going to do this industry.
Hmm.
So just giving them the first steps that they needed. No, we do need to see, this is what you need to do for your project. This is how it needs to be mastered. It needs to be encoded this way. Giving them the steps of what they need to do as far as their promotional items that they need, because we did bags for everybody that attended.
Hmm.
Of course, as time changed, CDs started going out, but at the time CDs were in, so everybody had their CDs in that bag. And I was blessed and favored that most of the radio announcers would play, but it was still up to you to follow up.
Right.
So did you gain that contact? Did you get that information? Did you go around to those tables and speak to those people
Right.
and do what you need to do? A lot of artists just don't listen. And I
Mhm.
don't know if it's out of fear, and I don't want to say the other. I don't think it's out of arrogance. But
Well, I think that I, speaking as an independent artist myself,
hmm
um, one of the things that happens, I believe that happens is that you have a person who may not be be outgoing. They
Right.
they have the gift. They can write, they can sing, they can play, they can dance, they can do. But when I get in front of a Trice Whitley, what do I say? I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then you don't want to go up there stuttering. You don't want to go up there saying the totally wrong thing. You know, mess around and pass out or some junk like that. I think that sometimes as indie artists, we don't have the benefit of what do you call it? Artist development.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like when you're an indie artist, you kind of sacrifice that. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get in these settings, it's not that you don't want to network, but I think that a lot of times you just don't know what to say because ultimately you may not be that type of person. You may not be as communicative as you need to be. You know what I'm saying? So what would you say to that?
Maybe because I don't know. Everybody keeps saying I'm an introvert. I don't think that I am. Because we just had a Zoom last night, and one of my girlfriends who conducted it last night, she's an introvert, and she's been in the industry over 20 years. And she was sharing that, you know, when she behind the mic, she's all out. But when she go out in public, she be like, "Oh,
Right. Right.
no.
Right. And that's
What just came in
exactly
the
the
room."
point. Like if you put them on stage, it's no
Totally
problem.
different
Boom.
person.
They're fish in water. You know what I'm saying? But when you put them in a one-on-one, you know what I'm saying, having a meeting or, you know, approaching a radio personality or somebody, that's a totally different thing. You know what I mean? So
and it's amazing because you don't know that. Because when she met me, that's what she said. I had just released my project, but she knew me from radio.
Right.
More so than an artist. And she was like, "Oh, Sister Peaches." But I was like, "Girl, we're gonna be friends," you know. So,
Right.
You know, over 20 years later, here we are. And she still gets like that in front of certain people. Right. And I'd be like, "Girl, go on over there and say something to somebody. All you gotta do is say hello. It's nothing deep. You don't have to do no 1 minute pitch, no elevator pitch or whatever they call it. You don't have to do that. Just go and be yourself. Hey, how you doing? You know." They would start conversation, especially those in the industry. They'll talk.
I remember one time I was at a conference with a friend of mine in West Virginia. We went to this conference for Bishop Jakes. And we were standing in the lobby and there was like different vendor tables all over. And at the time, Hezekiah Walker had a radio show at that time. So he had his radio set up then. And so we're like, yo, that's Hezekiah. We're going to go talk to him. And I'm going to tell you, we went over there and my mind just went blank. After I said hi, I didn't know what to say. And
what did he say?
He just was like, okay, you guys have a good day. Oh, it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. But that goes to say, you know, what I was saying to you, you know what I'm saying? You go up to these people, you see these people, and then you get there and it's like, where do you go? Where do you go
just
from
gotta
there?
Practice, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, right. It was like,
I guess you gotta have an elevator speech.
Right. That was one of the most embarrassing moments ever because he's looking like, okay, you gonna say something? And then he was just like, well, you guys have a good day. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I felt like a clown. I felt like such a clown. Okay. But I think that, you know, like I said, that's something that a lot of indie artists contend with. You know what I'm saying? The artist side is easy. The creative side is
interview too. A lot of artists can't interview, so that's another thing. I mean, like,
that whole artist development thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It goes back to artist development.
Yeah. So
maybe you should do some classes on that, Mike.
Absolutely. I think that I was gonna ask you, you know, so the whole radio side, kind of gave you a leg up when it came to, do you feel like it gave you a leg up when it came to those moments where you network with people or whatever? Did it, like you were saying to your point earlier about some people knew who you were ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you know you're doing radio, so now you don't have to do as much as a Mike. You don't have to do as much as a Mike Robinson because your name is already in the room already.
Now that's true.
So
That does
so do you feel like do you feel like that's that's an advantage that you've had throughout your career or in
I
your
think
career?
it has been an advantage, and I also think it has been a grooming process for me too,
Mm,
because it allowed me to start communicating more, even if I didn't initiate, because someone was like, "Hey, Peaches," and then I was like, "Okay," it gave me room to
right,
start to have a conversation with someone.
right.
So it was definitely a grooming process for me, because now I'm the woman with the low self-esteem all my
Mm,
life.
hmm.
So even though I can talk, it was still like, "You talking to me?" That was the
Right,
first. I'm like,
right,
you
right,
making it seem like I'm something. Like my girlfriend, she was like, "Oh, you're Sister Peaches." I was like, "Okay, yeah." I was like,
right,
I didn't think
right,
a big deal of it. You know what
right.
I'm saying? So that I had to get used to that as well, because it became very humbling after a while. Like I didn't know. I didn't. Even when people came to my event, my mom was like, "Do you see who has come and support you?" I was like,
Right,
"Yeah, that's such and such and such." But I built relationships, so it didn't
mm,
seem like they were who they were
right, right,
to
right,
me, because I knew they came because of me, because of relationship, and they knew my heart of what I wanted to do for the people in the industry, and that makes a difference. And I think that's why I keep saying, artists, you have to build relationships with people. It may be hard at first, but you have to take the time and establish relationship, and stop acting like you're grand. You have never arrived. I don't
right.
care if you come out with one single and it's number one as soon as it come out and it stays on there for 50 weeks straight. I don't care. You need to remain humble. You could be a one hit wonder, and never have anything else come out and get blackballed
Wow.
because you're not acting right. When you're around
Right.
people, you're ignoring people, you're not speaking to people, and they be like, "Oh, who is that? Oh, I can't believe they that way. Oh, this industry is too small for that craziness. It's too small." So I'm always like, can we all just get along
Right.
and love each other? Because that's what
Right.
the world needs now.
Right.
It's like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That let's shift gears a little bit.
All right.
Uh, you wrote a book. Now I was reading your bio. Now I was reading the book, and I had to kind of do a double take. Is that really the name of the book? I was like, oh my gosh,
Yes,
I'm definitely asking her about this. So, so
you
with
should
that
be
being
for
said,
real.
I'm not even going to say the title. I'm going to let you say the title. Tell us about the book that you wrote and the vision behind it. What brought about this book?
Well, I did share that I did a project back in 2004, and I left the industry because I was naive and green, very green
Mhm.
in the industry. And yeah, I came back and started working at the church I was telling you. And the pastor said, "Get that one thing in your mind, one thing that you always wanted to do, that you know you have to do in this season." I said, "A book." I don't know why a book came to me, because I had not been thinking about a book at the time.
Right.
Definitely not on that. So, Sexual Escapades Before Music Ministry was birthed.
Mm,
And
okay.
it's a short read, but it's entwined because it's true stories, my stories of some experience I've had in the industry, entwined with 20 steps on how to be a successful artist.
Okay.
So people was like, the book's over already because it's like I said, y'all just nosy, y'all just want more juice.
Right, 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 right,
I said,
right,
but the point is, put God first. All
right.
that other stuff don't matter. And make sure
Mhm.
you have these steps as an artist so you are protected and covered yourself and what you need to do when it comes to business. But
Mm,
yes, so I've shared some true stories of my experience in the music industry,
wow.
what I went through. So it was a buzz for a while in the industry. And it was like, oh, I didn't use your name though, but you knew who I was talking about. Yeah, I
Right.
was like that then.
Yeah. So that had to be interesting. That had to be interesting. Who are you talking about? Who is this person? Who are you referring to?
Yeah.
That had to be interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, but it was healing.
Mm,
And it's
awesome.
amazing because they all love me. That's the beauty behind it.
Mhm.
Everybody still love me because I was they was like, Peaches, you've always been honest and just
Right,
straightforward. And I was like, yeah, but that was my truth. That's my testimony.
right,
You can't dummy down my testimony. That's
right.
my testimony. I respect it by leaving names out, but it's still
Absolutely,
my testimony, you know.
absolutely.
So it was also to show other artists that you don't have to waver who you are. And I didn't waver. I was just shocked
Mm,
about everything was happening. I was like, is the industry like the gospel industry is like this?
right,
I
right.
couldn't believe a lot of stuff that was happening. So
Yeah, we forget that, you know, it's still people, still,
right.
still men and women,
Hmm.
who still are dealing with certain issues, certain, things they have
Hmm.
going on, and we kind of take for granted, you know, that, like, again, that we're people,
Right.
that we go through some of the same things, what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's just we have this this stigma because we are Christian, or because we are religious, quote unquote. Um, wow.
And I had a serious stigma. I was like, and then growing up Baptist and hearing apostle or bishop and all, I was like,
Right.
ooh, they real holy.
Right. Right.
Like I
Right.
can't even be in their
Right.
presence because they so holy. And
Right.
then to see them be a man, it's like, ooh, okay. You said what? You did what?
Right.
It's
Right.
caught me off guard totally and was like, I can't do this. And
Right.
I stopped my project. And I had a great project back then. It was a
Mhm.
great project. I think it was before time, era of time. And yeah.
Wow.
So they still say, Peaches, you need to re-release and remake some of your songs from your first project. And I'm in agreement with it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah. I've done. I'm doing that too. Like, I have. You upgrade the production. I mean, you
Yeah.
update the
Yeah.
production, and just
Hmm.
maybe add some dynamics here and there, some harmonies there and there. I
Hmm.
mean, the message is still true. The
Right.
message is still solid. Um, what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
That I'm really nice.
That you're really nice, so you're not really nice.
I think some people see me as naive.
Okay.
I think they see me as naive.
Okay.
They see my smile a lot and they're like, "Oh, she's so sweet." That
Right.
type thing.
Right.
And they're like, "No, you can't play me though."
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
I
they
get it.
try. They think they can. They
I
think they can. But I,
absolutely.
I think that's the biggest one. And a lot of people think that I am a billionaire. I'm not. I'm like, I ain't got no maid. I said,
Right.
I thank God you see it on me though. No, seriously, everybody was like, you cook? I don't know. I'm like, I'm not supposed to cook. Yes, I cook. I
Right.
clean. Yes, I do all of that.
Right.
That's another misconception. Seriously.
Yeah. I think that
Domesticated. That's the word. They don't think I'm domesticated.
you know what? They look at a person and respectfully, they'll look at a person like you and they say she's so beautiful. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? That she cannot do anything that's, requires
Wait.
her to get her hands dirty or anything like that.
Oh,
You know, um, that is funny. Uh, I,
Do you
I
know I feel insulted when people say that to me though? I'm like, what? I get upset. Is that bad?
no. I mean, I, I not you should. I don't think you should be upset.
I said,
I
can I
don't think
be
you should
every
be
woman? Why I gotta leave that
upset. But you know who you are. You are.
I've
And
gotten
most, yeah. So
better.
it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I only have one. I only have one more official question for you at
Uh-oh.
this point.
And you
Uh,
leaving the artist for the last. No,
It's a question. Listen, it's a question that I ask all my guests.
okay. See if I can
So when I ask you, just take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me.
Oh wow. Okay.
And here's the question: what would have to happen in your life if it has not happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Oh, that's easy. Success looks like for me is fulfilling my purpose. And I believe I'm in the midst of doing that now. And I can honestly say I'm finally at peace. That's how I feel like I've arrived to where my purpose is.
Mhm.
Took a long time. I'm old, Mike.
Stop it, stop it, stop it right now. Stop it right now.
But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I just want to leave a legacy to my daughters, you know.
Mhm,
I want them to see what it is. They've seen me struggle,
mhm,
but my daughter says I'm their greatest hero. So I
so-
take that to heart. You know what I'm saying? Because as a parent, you feel like you failed them in an area, if they see that you have not arrived, as some people say, to a certain point in your life
mhm,
that you set for yourself.
right.
And I was doing that a lot, especially in their younger years, setting things for myself. And when my relationship with God started growing, I started to have to release. And that was the process that took the longest, is releasing that control, you know, because everybody called me a perfectionist.
Mhm, mhm,
So how can you be a perfectionist when nothing's right?
yeah, right.
In my mind.
In your mind. I was just gonna say, yeah, in your mind.
Yeah, in my mind.
Right.
But they're saying I'm a perfectionist. I'll be like, what? What's
Right.
what's perfect?
The thing, you know what the thing is, and I've had this conversation with other artists too, is that, and it's not just speaking from a music perspective either,
Hmm.
but what it is that we don't hear what other people hear. You know what I'm saying? Like we do our thing,
Hmm.
and we think, we think that it's good, but when somebody tells you, "Hey, Trice, that song was amazing. That song is listen, that song saved my life."
Hmm.
It it's always a surprise. It's always a surprise to you. It's
Yeah.
always a surprise to me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that can, but then when I speak to artists, they say that that's a good thing, because when you start, because if you ever start hearing what other people hear,
Hmm.
that can be, that can be a very bad thing.
Yeah.
So what happens, but then again, on the flip side, what happens is that sometimes we never, from an artist's perspective, there are songs that I've recorded that I I let myself listen to too many times, and I talk myself out of releasing them.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Mhm.
I got a hard drive full of music that I've never released because I don't think it's good enough, or I don't think it sounds like what I'm hearing on the radio, and
Right.
stuff like that. Not
That's the fight
realize,
for me. That
right,
whole what's on the radio, what other people do, and
right,
who creates the trends.
right, exactly. Somebody had to start.
Right. And that's
Every
what I'm getting to now. I was like, I'm finally at that place. It's like you have your own sound, embrace it. You know, you've been doing this church thing a long time. You've been wanting to do jazz and hadn't, but you have a certain sound. Embrace it, Peaches. You got this. You got this.
so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to maybe get advice about the industry, or so into your some of the businesses that you have, to your nonprofit and such, how could they get in touch with you?
Um, oh Lord, I'm trying to think which email, what information to give. Telephone number you can do 240 392 1401. That's 240-392-1401. You can also reach us on our websites. Peachtree Foundation is getting ready to be launched this week. It's peachtree-foundation.org. And definitely, if you want to send your music in, anybody want to send any music in, that would be great. That's I Am Radio. That's I-am-radio.com is the website you would send music to. And if you wanted to make any donations, the quickest one is Cash App, Peachtree 97.
Awesome. Well, Miss Trice, as much as we've covered today, I know that we only scratched the surface. And so, with that being said, you have an open invitation to come back for a part two so that we can continue this, because I need to hear more about this book, among other things. But,
You can get it on Amazon.
okay,
Read it
okay,
and we'll talk about it together.
yes, ma'am, absolutely. But I thank you. I thank you again for coming on, because I know you got a gazillion things that you could be doing. But I appreciate you taking the time out. And again, you are
Thank you.
absolutely welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you so much for
you want.
having me, Mike. Thank you. I really enjoyed this, and I needed it.
Hey, I'm glad to
I
provide the
did. Very
platform.
refreshing. I needed this.
Awesome, awesome. Is there anything that you want to leave with the people before we sign off?
Just want people to stay encouraged that whatever your purpose is, you shall fulfill it. I'm serious. Don't get discouraged along this journey. It may seem tedious and you may get a little fatigue, because I have, but know that God has you on this journey.
Awesome. Well, again, I thank you, and I wish you much success on all that you have going and everything that you plan to have going on, going in the future. I wish you much blessings on it, and everybody that's attached and involved in it as well.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you have an awesome night and an awesome weekend, and we will definitely talk soon.
All right. Take care.
You too. So there you have it. Another great interview with another great guest. I want to shout out Miss Trice again for coming on and being transparent and open. She definitely dropped some nuggets. Please check this out on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get our subscribership up on YouTube, man. Please do that. Go to the YouTube page. Let's Take a Walk featuring Trice Whitley, and hit that bell icon, hit that like, hit that subscriber button. I will love you forever. But as always, I encourage you guys to walk in the vision that God has given you. Don't look back, push forward, and do, because there's a remnant of people that's waiting on you to make the decision to say yes. So with that being said, y'all, I am signing out, and I will see you all next week, Lord willing. Other than that, let's take a walk.